How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Mother SpongeBob. Today is February 16, 2022. As today we're going to focus on this next major winter storm that's going to impact multiple states across the Midwest and the Northeast, with potentially up to a foot of snow within the next 24 hours. And we'll also talk about the major severe weather and wind threat that's expected to impact the Southeast and potentially as far north as the Northeast with strong, damaging winds. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin. Let's take a look at the current radar for the lower 48 of the United States. And as you can see, we do have a little bit of thunderstorm activity developing right along the Mississippi River Valley at this time, mainly centered right around Illinois. As like I've been saying over the past several days, we're gonna see a large amount of cold air move southward and interact with a very warm and humid air mass that's located in the southeast, and that's inducing a lot of warm air advection in this region for a lot of lift in the atmosphere to occur, for a lot of convection to occur. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now, where we're seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity right around this region. And you see that just to the north of it, we do have some isolated snow showers. However, this area of snow showers is expected to expand exponentially over the next couple hours as this cold air continues to move further southward and pretty much forces a little bit more lift and convective available potential energy in the atmosphere for more convection, and as a result, more snowfall and precipitation to occur throughout the Midwest, including the Southeast, where we could see a major severe weather threat. So this is a feature we're paying close attention to over the next 24 to 48 hours for major impacts this is going to bring throughout the Midwest and the Southeast. So let's now take a look at the current warnings issued associated with this deepening low pressure system, and you see that winter storm warnings are now issued throughout multiple states in the Midwest. This includes central Oklahoma, extending through southeastern Kansas and Missouri, where you guys are under winter storm warnings at this time. This extends to Illinois, just south of Chicago. And what's interesting is that you guys are in the green, so there is a possibility that you could potentially see some lakeshore flooding as a result of the strong winds associated with this deepening low pressure system, as of course that wind will have a large fetch area over Lake Michigan, and it could bring a lot of that water along. It could bring a large amount of water to the coast, or potentially storm surge along the coast if you're within the Great Lakes. So make sure to keep that in mind if you're along the coast of Lake Michigan. And you see that those winter storm warnings extend to northern Indiana as well as southern Michigan as well. And in the purple, you see that you guys are under winter weather advisories, as there isn't as high of a chance you'll experience winter weather, but that chance still certainly exists. So you still need to be aware of that if you're under a winter weather advisory. And if we were to take a look just outside of it, you see that flood watches are in effect, as of course the rain could be another issue associated with this low pressure system, especially on the northern side where the most condensation will occur as a result of that area of rain being closest to the cold air further northward. So as a result, we do have some flood watches issued, so make sure to pay close attention to that. What's interesting is that we do have wind advisories issued throughout the southeastern New England as well, so pay close attention to that. And we even have some wind advisories, if I'm not mistaken, issued throughout the southeast, as of course wind will be an issue there as well associated with this low pressure system. So a lot to worry about when it comes to this storm over the next several days. So if I were to show you guys a computer model forecast, let me show you this right now. Give me just 1 second. Let me pull up the computer models right now. Okay, let me just. All right, here it is. So if I were to show you guys the computer models right now, like I said in my previous videos, that was a bit of uncertainty with the forecast between the GFS and the European model, but I feel like that uncertainty has subsided over the past 24 hours, as now the European model and the GFS model are now in pretty good agreement regarding the amount of snowfall accumulation you should experience throughout the Midwest. So if I were to show you guys the European model's forecast, you see that there's a good area of, I'd say, around 3 to 6 inches, a little bit more in the more narrower areas, and it seems like the GFS model is more lenient on bringing a more smaller and more narrow area of heavy snow than initially anticipated, while the GFS model still does expect heavier snowfall than the European model. I'd say it's definitely a lot less heavy than initially anticipated and a lot less snowfall than the GFS model initially anticipated, because if I were to show you guys the run 24 hours ago, you see that the GFS model was taking well over a foot of snow over many areas of the Midwest, but it seems like that idea has subsided. If I were to show you guys the forecast from the GFS just 24 hours ago, you see that some areas in Missouri and northeastern Kansas were experiencing over a foot of snow. The GFS model is now leaning more towards the European model, and not only that, the the heaviest snow, is now a lot further southward than initially anticipated by the GFS model. So that means that places like Chicago and Milwaukee miss out on a lot of the heavier snowfall. And in fact, Milwaukee, I'm pretty sure now, isn't forecasted to receive any snow from this storm as a result of the southward shift in the forecast. And Milwaukee's, I'd say, maybe receiving around an inch of snow, but from the GFS model, so it's still experiencing some snow, but a lot less than what was initially anticipated by the GFS model. So we have seen a shift in the forecast where now it's more certain the track will be more in line with the European model further southward, and the snow won't be as heavy as what the GFS model was saying earlier, which for some people definitely will be good news, and it will definitely be good news for the roads. But you still need to pay close attention to this storm, because over 6 inches of snow is still a major snowstorm. So don't underestimate this storm just because it might not have dumped as much snow as initially anticipated based on yesterday's GFS model run, because of course over 6 inches of snow is still a heavy amount of snow that could definitely easily cause havoc on the roadways. I've seen only around 2 inches of snow bring trouble on the roadways. 6 inches is more than capable of creating major travel problems across the Midwest. So I recommend to stay indoors for the duration of Thursday if you're within the projected path, because snow could be heavy at times. Since this storm is going to move relatively quick, it won't have as much time to dump a high amount of snowfall accumulation, but the snowfall rate will be heavy enough to cause definitely some havoc on the roadways in the Midwest. If I were to show you guys the precipitation rate, you're going to see that snow will be heavy at times throughout the Midwest, where we are seeing the darker blues, which represents heavier amounts of snow, equivalent to almost 1 inch per hour. So you need to pay close attention to that. And it's going to move quite fast as a result of just very strong upper level winds associated with the jet stream. We're seeing strong upper level winds that will sort of induce more of a severe weather threat for the southeast, where damaging winds and tornadoes are now more likely as a result of the strong upper level winds. If I were to show you guys the convective available potential energy, you're going to see that there's going to be quite a bit of potential energy for thunderstorm activity to occur. While it isn't the worst convective available potential energy I've seen with severe weather threats, because I certainly have seen convective available potential energy levels a lot higher than right around 900 that we're seeing in Louisiana. The thing is that the upper level winds of the storm will really be the kicker in really enhancing the severe weather for the southeast, as the upper level winds, of course, with the strong downdrafts, will be forced downwards along the surface, and that will create a major damaging wind threat. And of course, with stronger upper level winds comes stronger wind shear, which could lead to higher possibility of a tornado threat. I'd say the tornado threat is still light for the most part, but it certainly does exist a little bit more than what we typically see with convective available potential energy levels that low. So if I were to show you guys the forecasted wind shear in the mid levels of the atmosphere, look at the reds and oranges we see. Of course, since this low pressure system is going to be quite strong, not only in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but in the lower levels of the atmosphere as well, along the surface where the low pressure is located, that's going to create just very strong wind shear, and that will certainly induce potentially major severe weather for the southeast and a major a major damaging wind threat, but not only for the southeast, but this could also extend to the northeast as well, because even if it's not necessarily associated with a severe thunderstorm, because you see that the pressure will drop down to 990s, and that pressure is very low, and a lot of the air surrounding it is of course going to want to filter in, and as it does so, we're going to see strong winds associated with this storm all across the east coast, more specifically the southeastern coast of New England, where the winds should be quite strong, and this should move into the be involved in the severe supercell thunderstorms we'll see tomorrow as well throughout the southeast. So that's something you want to pay close attention to, and take a look at these winds with changing with height, because you see that along the surface the winds are primarily coming from the south, but we do see that wind direction shift with height from more of a southerly direction to more of a westerly direction, and that wind shear is one of the main causes of tornado threat, and we're going to see that tomorrow, as there's certainly that possibility of a tornado threat associated with these thunderstorms. So make sure to keep that in mind. I'd say the worst severe weather will be somewhere in northern Mississippi, Alabama, and in the extreme eastern portions of Arkansas and northeastern portion of Louisiana. So make sure to keep that in mind, as damaging winds and, like I said, an isolated tornado will be the main threat. I don't think hail will necessarily be as major of a threat during this case, because the amount of lift or convective available potential energy associated with these thunderstorms won't necessarily be strong enough to really induce those strong updrafts for extreme hail threat to occur. But the wind shear, along with the strong lower level winds, will help create damaging wind threat associated with these thunderstorms and isolated tornado threat. So that's something you want to keep in mind in the southeast. Here is the convective outlook from the National Weather Service regarding the severe weather threat forecasted, and you see that northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and at least the western portion of Tennessee, that's where the severe weather threat could be the worst, where tornadoes could be possible as well as large hail. Here's the tornado threat. You see that it's more focused in on northern Mississippi. The wind threat, of course, will be probably the main concern associated with these thunderstorms, and then the hail threat, you see it's very minuscule as a result of the low convective available potential energy levels, but you still can't rule out the chance of a tornado, because again, there's still going to be a strong lift in the atmosphere to maybe induce a hail threat right around the southeast. So make sure to keep that in mind. If we were to take a look at the outlook for day 3, you see that the low pressure, since this low is going to move quite fast, of course, so will its severe weather event. So by Friday, this severe weather threat should be completely gone out of the United States, which is certainly good news that this will move quite fast. But for tomorrow, make sure to pay close attention to a major severe weather threat in the southeast. Now let me show you guys the future radar regarding this next snowstorm and severe weather threat to see when you should expect impacts. You see that I'd say we will begin to see the snow develop right around the early morning hours on Thursday, where we will begin to see this low pressure system develop and really take shape, and we're going to see the snow expand a little bit. We're going to see the rain shower activity expand throughout the Ohio River Valley, and we will eventually see snow right around Kansas City, I'd say right around 10 a.m. just before noontime, and we will see the snow eventually grow bigger, the snow area, and I'd say the worst of severe weather should happen right around Thursday afternoon, where we will see where we will see a pretty long line of thunderstorms develop right around Mississippi. It is when the worst severe weather should occur, especially since the instability will be the highest right around Thursday afternoon. So make sure to pay close attention to that. And you see that the snow eventually approaches Detroit, I'd say, by the Thursday evening time frame, and should approach Chicago around the late afternoon on Thursday. So make sure to pay close attention to that throughout the United States for major snowstorm and severe weather threat. Now, in terms of the amount of snowfall you should experience, so I did reduce the area where you could experience 6 to 12 inches of snow just by a little bit from my previous forecast, of course, due to the shift in the forecast for the GFS model, where it's taking the snow. It's pretty much taking an area of snow that's a lot less broad, and it's bringing less snowfall in general. And you see that I'm expecting a severe weather threat for southward, 3 to 6 inches for, I'd say, Chicago and Kansas City, where the snow area won't be that large to bring the heavier snow bands to that area, and 1 to 3 just outside of it. And of course, the strong winds will be a threat in the Northeast this Thursday night, so make sure to keep that in mind throughout the United States. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related calls. And make sure to like if you like this video. And make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys all have a great day.